Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Makayla's Motivation. I'm here with Joey again. We
Yo, what's going on,
have
everybody?
some awesome topics to talk about with you guys today. Sorry, I'm kind of in a giddy mood, so you guys gotta forgive me if I'm a little overexcited. I'm just hyped about these podcasts and so excited. So today, I'll be starting the podcast first, and then Joey will go. And my topic is going to be on social media, relationships, and friendships. And Joey, your topic is going to be on what today?
Um, just what we're dealing with in terms of the weather and the sun, the El Nino that we're dealing with for the next couple of years, and
Mm-hmm.
how it's going to affect us, and what we have to do basically to change and adapt to the sun getting hotter. Ultimately,
I see, and I have been hearing a lot about that recently. So I'm glad you are covering this topic on the show. And I can't wait to hear what you have to say on it and everything. I have got my timer here, you guys, because I'm going to time myself because I like to talk. so, and my topic, like I said, is just going to be on relationship, friendships, and social media, just about a lot of things. I'm going to try to get in as much as I can. I tried to prepare, but I'm a little underprepared, but that's all right. It happens. Sometimes you got to wing it. So I'll go first. Do you have anything you'd like to add before we begin, Joey?
no, it's just this is our second episode of us doing this, and we're still in the process of thinking about which name we want as we go forward. I
Yes,
know
yes.
for me, for my YouTube, I have my friend here, Makayla, and on my end, it's going to be Joey C talking sense
Yes, yes.
on my
And you
end.
can put
But
it
until we
whatever
figure
you
out
want.
a dual name for this, this is kind of how we're going to work it.
Yes, if you want to put that on your YouTube, that is perfectly fine till we come up with something a little more permanent with it. Joey, that is awesome. We are actually going to be doing YouTube and audio podcast this podcast, so congratulations to us for finally getting this stuff up and going to where we can.
Heck yeah.
And so I'm going to begin. If there is nothing else to add, I'm going to begin with a 5-minute topic on social media, relationships, and friendships. Let's go. So, as we all know, in today's world, we have big platforms such as TikTok, Facebook, Snapchat, we have Twitter, YouTube, so many different resources, so many different ways to connect. Thankfully, TikTok is actually how I met Joey. So, as you can see, social media does have some good advantages on people you can meet in your life as friends, and it's just a big way to get out there. It's a big way to do what you love. There are many creators who go around and they have small businesses. They get their small businesses out there like that. Um, Music. I have a cover channel that I do music on, and these platforms that we have are amazing for that. But there is another side to social media that we don't see a lot. Granted, we can make a lot of friends. When you go on TikTok and you go live, you have many people coming in and out, checking your live out, chatting if they want to, communicating, speaking, and growing friendships. And you can grow even the best of friendships from those social medias, but they can even have other influences. When you start getting more people around, more people in your boxes, more people in your live, people coming in and conversating, yes, I'm so sorry. You can form other bonds and friendships with other people, which is great. But sometimes you come across people who are not so great and probably isn't right for your crowd. And that is okay. You just have to learn how to know the difference between those friendships and those relationships to keep yourself safe. Or if you decide to take that route, be cautious when doing so. Think about what you can do to keep yourself safe and protect you. Um, I have had some experiences in my life because of social media where I have met some great and awesome people. And I've had other experiences where I got used, I got mistreated, I got mentally and emotionally abused by, the people I thought were my friends and stuff like that. Many things I won't get into. And one of the biggest thing is when you get social media like this and you have ways to connect to other people and you have, you know, situations that happen and whatnot, it can tend to become crazy because, again, you build those friendships and those bonds. And even though they may be strong, because no amount of time can atone for a friendship, if that's the proper word. No amount of time can actually determine the connection of your friendship with somebody or your relationship. The time just doesn't matter. It is the connection that you make with them and that first impression, even more too, that really helps to make a friend. That first impression and that connection. You have those, you're bonded. You got a friend, you got a good friend. But you have to be careful. I always say don't tell your friends your deepest secrets. Don't tell them everything about you. And that, in one hand, is probably a good thing. Because when you get into a situation where your friend gets upset or whatever it may be, they can't come back at you and threaten you or be mean to you or just hold things against you. But at the same time, if you're any like regular person that has a brain, per se, I don't really know the proper wording, you would be smart enough to know that it's better just to talk it out and not resort to harassment and bullying and threatening people and all this and that, because there are so many people that they have been through so much in their life. People like me, I'm an overthinker. I worry too much. And, it's something from past experience that has happened to me. And, people don't always take the time to understand that. And it can get crazy and hectic. Now, we do have other social media platforms where people can get together and talk about different things. Like we have Discord. If you want to grow your friend community, you can grow a community on Discord or find any kind of group for almost anything you would have interest in on Discord. And that's fabulous. YouTube. You have YouTube where you can post videos and share your thoughts and opinions with others and make cool creative content. Then you got TikTok. You make small videos, same thing. Easier for people to see, easy for them to comment on, and that is what makes it good. Sorry, guys, my timer just went off. And I want to touch more on that, but I wasn't really prepared to this, so I don't really have a layout on it. But I mean, in my overall opinion, social media can have its ups and downs, and it's good and its bads. You just gotta learn how to keep yourself safe. And that is it for my topic.
I gotcha. Yeah,
Not
I
the best,
mean,
but
just to kind of piggyback on what you were saying in regards to social media,
Mhm.
I've noticed, I don't know what it is. I'm not able to get that connection with people. I don't know if it's me. At some point, I'm starting to think about more and more, is it me? Because, as you said, I kind of, and you know me, we've known each other for going on a little over a year at this point
yes,
now.
yes. Thankfully, because of social media, we can meet
Um,
people like
I,
Joey.
I don't cut any BS. I am to the point, and I don't know if people really follow that. And like as you said, and when you were talking about it,
Mhm.
you don't know who to trust. Ultimately,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
let people know about some of your deeper secrets or just a little bit more personal things, and
Things
more
that
times than
you, I
not, that
mean,
ends up
like,
becoming a subject that they
right.
go and talk to other people about
Mhm.
and use against you. And I've become more sheltered just in general. I'm a little bit older than you are. I didn't really have social media growing up. It's
Mhm.
kind of something that a lot of people in their 20s have kind of taken for granted. We didn't
Mhm.
have that growing up.
Mhm.
So I've always been a little bit more sheltered when it comes to it, comes to that.
And I
It
mean,
took
I
me,
will
it took me
say,
years, even with my friends on Discord.
mhm.
It took years for me to come out and let them know that I was married and had kids, because as cool as you are, and these are people that I played games with
Years,
for
I
two
bet.
years straight, and it was every night, every other night that
Mhm.
we would play, and it's just one of those things. I'm a little bit more sheltered. So yeah, good. It's good and bad, but I mean, just in general, I also have problems.
Mm-hmm.
making friends in real life as well. I stick with my family. I kind of do my own thing with my family and my wife, and I kind of I don't really have a lot of friends. So that is a ongoing problem on my end.
I mean,
Just trusting.
right. And I will say for you, Joey, is, and it's probably not even you. I don't think it's you. You're really cool. You have some amazing content. I think it's just all about the right people that come across you and find you to come into your life. You are very outgoing and you can be sheltered too. That is a good thing. I do the same thing. I have moments where you'll see me live quite a bit and hanging out, and then I have other moments where I just don't want to do it. I don't want to go live right now. I just want to be about myself and, talk to my friends on the phone or whatever and communicate
Yeah.
that way. Now, I mean, I will say as an added to that conversation real quickly that a couple years ago when TikTok really started getting big for me, whenever live and everything was a thing, all that, I did for a long time. I really loved going live and I went live all the time. It was so much fun. It was a way to connect with people, and because of me being on a check and not able to really work, it was something to cure that boredom. It was something that I could do because I couldn't always get out and go to the movies or the skating rink or wherever I'd want to go, you know? And so I can agree with that. It's all about really who comes across you too. And I believe you're one of those people that you can make friends with anybody, Joey. You just
Sure.
gotta let them find you. You just gotta let them
For
find you.
sure.
But do be careful too, of course. But when I started real big with TikTok Live and all that back then, over the last year, through everything I've been through, which Joey, you've known my situation, I have not felt the same way about live like I used to going live on TikTok. I love it still, but it's just not as much of a passion for me as it used to be. And it's probably because when you start, and I wish I would have said this in my part of the podcast, but I would say that the experiences that you can get from social media, like what I've gone through, what anybody has probably gone through, can possibly change the way you feel about something. You could go into loving something with a passion and have something happen in an experience, and you just don't feel the same. It doesn't mean you're giving up on it. It just means it's not like it used to be. Everybody changes. And that's
For
why I
sure.
wanted to cover that topic. And I'm glad that you said what you said, because it ain't you. Trust me. It's not you. It's not your content. It's finding that right crowd of people. So, with that being said, Joey, would you like to take over and go into your topic?
Um, I mean, we can kind of
Or
vibe
do
on
you
yours
have
still a little bit longer.
anything more
We
to
always have
add?
as much time. I mean, I know we have a set time that we try to get 30 minutes or whatever the case, but I want it to be more of an organic feeling for us in our
Yay.
podcast. As we have our structure, we've kind of fixed what we want in our structure, but at the same time, if we're kind of vibing in a subject,
We
it's
can
good to
vibe on
continue
it
on
for
it
a few minutes just because I did
for
do a
sure.
5 minute instead of a 10 or something minute. But that's
Yeah,
okay. But
yeah.
and,
No,
and
I
I'm
mean
glad we
it's just
did
something that we can
because
fill.
I'm glad we did because really I felt like, man, I wish you would have kind of I wish I don't even know, like I wish I would have said that in the actual part of the podcast, because like it makes sense. I mean, it's not necessarily you, it's about the crowd you get around and the experiences that you have with social media can change you so much to how you pursue or see social media.
Well,
It's
no,
just,
and that's what I'm saying is based off of the experiences, like you said. I mean, I had a
mm-hmm,
situation. I think it was right around the time I had met you. I had met you.
uh huh,
I had just got into TikTok. I was new to it. I would put money on for gifts. There was this person that I used to. I won't name call her or anything like that. But I used to
right,
watch. I used to watch her. She was going through a tough time, sleeping out at her friend's couch, or maybe even somebody that she just knew wasn't even a friend.
uh huh,
Um, would go live on her TikTok on her in her truck, or not even in her truck, but in her friend's truck. Just had nothing going for her.
mm-hmm,
Um, and I would give her gifts. I felt bad for the situation. I tried to help out in any way that I could. I would be there. I'd talk. I'd hang out. And it was a situation that I had no clue. But this whole clan thing that goes on TikTok, the
mm-hmm,
communities, families is what they call it, or whatever the case.
mm-hmm,
They had issues. This woman had an issue with another girl that I would watch as well. And I was kind of the in between. I didn't know I was the in between, but
Mm-hmm.
because I was in there hanging around in this second person's live, I remember going into this girl that I had followed, giving gifts to, and I couldn't talk in there, and I was getting ignored, and it came out that um, she was mad at me because I was cool with that second person. And so I had gotten my moderator tag taken away, and then I had gotten ignored. So all those
Wow.
months that I'd hung out, given gifts, did done nothing to cause any issues in her streams. Just how I am in streams. I'm just a
Mm-hmm.
really
You
chilled
are.
person.
Yes.
And then it just kind of opened my eyes really quick that, and like you said, you feel this connection, but more times than not, believe it, you have to understand that connection, as real as it feels, more times than not, is generally a fake thing. It comes down to what can they get from you. If they're
Mm-hmm.
not soaking up gifts, if they're not soaking up roses every minute from you, you become expendable. And that was something that I learned right away with TikTok.
You really
And that kind
do.
of sheltered me back up.
Yes, and you really do. And it's things like that I feel like, with my past experiences in the last few years on TikTok, has sheltered me to a point too where because of a lot of it, I don't go live because I don't want the drama and everything. So I 100% agree. I mean, I had a situation recently, I won't name names either, but I'd like to say this, since you spoke about your past experience, Joey. I had a recent situation here recently too where I had a friend who I thought was a friend because I've known them for so long literally get upset with me or something from what I believe is over a text message that when you look at this text message, there was nothing harmful about it, nothing mean. It was just a text concerned for a friend, wanting to know if they're okay. They hadn't been seeming like themselves lately. And I wanted to know genuinely, are you okay? I'm here for you. I'm letting you know that as well. And I go in on another social media app and turn out I go in there because we used to go in there up the mornings and I'll hang out and chat and vibe. And I go in there and the first thing is I'm getting just attacked and not even able to speak. I don't even go up. I leave the live because I'm like, I'm not doing this. This is ridiculous. I leave. And I tried to reach out to said friend, but she would not talk to me. And so I'm
Wow.
like, this is just ridiculous. So I'm like,
Yeah,
when you try. And at this point, I was doing nothing but wanting to defend myself because I was not going to sit there and let these people who think they know me try to just overtake me and not let me say a word. That's what I'm saying is like, yes, you can make some great connections with people on social media, but you can make some where literally people can just turn and treat you like garbage, you know
for sure.
and like I felt like that for months now that something was just not right, and I'm just like, why can't people? And these people are older than me. Well, a couple of them are older than me and you, even Joey. And I'm just like, we're all adults here, yes, but why did it have to be like this, where you immediately attack somebody? And not talk to them rather than talking it out. And I'd rather me, instead of having all those people attacking me and all this and that, I would have rather had called her one on one and spoke with her. You know, take it off there. You don't need your personal business. That's another thing too, is you don't need your personal business, like things like this, or even just the smallest simple things like that, to be on social media. You really don't.
For sure.
And in my opinion of the whole situation, I did yell only because I felt like I was not being heard. And at that point, I was like, you know what? They're not going to listen. I'm just going to say what I have to say, even though I know I didn't have to. I'm going to say what I have to say because I'm not going to sit here getting accused for nothing, you know, without knowing what I did wrong. I'm not going to sit here and take it. I'm going to defend myself because you only got yourself. When you start to realize who's there and who's not out of those connections you make on social media, if it's down to you and they're not there for you and backing you up, even if they're upset with you, you stick up for yourself. I know that's me because I had a hard time for a while to stick up for myself, and now I do.
Heck
And
yeah.
so that's just one reason why I wanted to come on and talk about that topic, just because there are so many experiences, relationships, things that can come from it, but not all of it's good.
Yeah.
Not all of it's good.
Yeah, no, for sure. That's a lesson learned on my end
I
as
mean,
well.
and it's even worse when okay, yeah, yelling may not have been the best approach to get heard, but when you're getting overspoken and nobody's listening to you, I felt like it was the right thing to do. And it's just, yeah, it can get worse, because another thing that I should have mentioned in that topic was bullying can, I did mention it, but bullying and harassment can really affect someone. I know for the few days after that happened, I was not myself. I was really down. And, I got messages on my Discord from someone saying, "Oh, you're a horrible person." I got people coming into my live telling me to stop talking about something when I wasn't even talking, unless somebody asked me if I was okay, and I'd be honest. Um, and they were just trying to make it all about them. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm worried about this person, yes, but I'm going to make it about me right now because you're coming at me for wanting to check on them.
And then it's in your live too.
Yes, and
On top of that. So
you're coming in my live to probably spy or whatever, and yet you could have sat there and said nothing, and nothing would have happened. Like, I wasn't even being mean about the situation. I was just telling somebody, yeah, I'm upset. I feel like I lost my friend. That was it.
for sure.
I wasn't going into all of this and that with them.
Yeah.
And it's just, really, you come in my live? So yeah, I'm
Yeah, no
gonna
doubt.
say something, but no.
Oh, I have a feeling we're going to come down this subject again later on in our podcast
We
as well,
probably
right?
will. I feel like, when we find subjects in our podcast like this, I'll just keep a note and we'll be like, we'll come back to this in another one and just have a podcast all about it.
For sure. All right, so I'll go ahead and kind of bring up my subject that I was wanting to.
Okay.
So everybody's kind of noticed the heat that we're dealing with as of late. I think everybody in our nation and around the world, honestly, has had something going on that's extreme weather related. Have it be the floods that are going on in the northwest to all the crazy weather that we've got going on. 110 plus degrees in Texas for the last week.
Mhm.
I read an article that in Florida, now it was shallow water. Let me go ahead and preface by saying that it was shallow water, but in just off the coast of Florida, there was water in the ocean that registered at 94 degrees Celsius,
What?
or 94 degrees Fahrenheit,
That
which
was the
is
temperature of
absolutely
the water?
insane. So here you are trying to go into the ocean to cool off from the heat, and you're going into 94-degree water.
Mm-hmm.
This is a prevalent issue, guys. This is something that we're going to deal with. This is partially to do with global warming due to us. We can't hide from that fact anymore.
Nope.
It is showing it's rearing its head. It's showing its face. That's something that we're gonna have to accept at this point. We need to start looking into renewable resources, solar, wind, hydro, just all the above. We're gonna have to start thinking outside the box.
Mm-hmm.
The way I've always related using oil is imagine cooking a steak in a hot pan without oil.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna absolutely burn the outside of that steak, and the inside's gonna stay raw. You use the oil because it cooks it more evenly. It disperses the heat in a more evenly way, and
Mm-hmm.
that's how I've always kind of looked at our Earth. We've got the mantle, we've got the core, and we've got the outer edge, the dirt. Everything that kind of works. The oil is in between all that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we've been pumping oil for the last 35 years at a very, very accelerated rate. And so I think oil takes a long time to form in the middle of and that is what keeps the friction from the core of our Earth to the outer edges. And I think it's a mixture of global warming. It's a mixture of that as well, pulling all this oil that we're eventually going to run out of. We eventually will run out of this. And The natural cycle. We're going through the El Nino right now cycle. For the next 2 years, we'll be having it, and we're breaking records when it comes to temperatures. And then I think it's something that nobody wants to really accept because it basically puts the power out of our hands. And us as a species, we're a very power hungry species. We want to be the top dog. We want to feel like we're in control, and it's not something that people want to think about. And I'm somebody that thinks as straightforward as I can, and as unfortunate as it is. I think our sun is finally starting to expand, and as it gets older, I mean, it's billions of years old. As it gets older, it expands, and we're starting to get a lot more sunspots and solar flares that are X class, and this radiation is hitting us. It's starting to hit us, which we do have natural defenses in our atmosphere that takes away the radiation. But there was a story 2 years ago. It was around 2 years ago. If anybody wants to go and Google that, but scientists, I think it was in the North Pole, for 4 to 6 hours, they witnessed we had a hole in our atmosphere because of the pole shifts that we get
Oh,
occasionally.
wow.
And it was solar radiation particles for 6 hours. It was like a hurricane over the North Pole, a hurricane that was nonstop coming in and just warming up our Earth. So as crappy as it is to have to think about, yes, it is global warming. Yes, it is some man-made things. Yes, it's a natural cycle. But we also have to understand that it's also our sun, and our sun is heating our planet up, and that's nothing. There's nothing that we can do about that but adapt to it. We're gonna have to start thinking about, you know, living underground, possibly in the future living underwater.
Wow.
It's something that we're gonna have to think about. That we're decades away from accepting. But that is something that I wanted to bring up. It's just everybody's dealing with this extreme weather, whether it be floods in China, floods in India, floods here in Vermont or Montana. You've got crazy weather down south in Texas. I mean, everybody's dealing with something extreme in one way or the other, and it's going to be our natural. We're going to have to deal with it, guys. It's not going to go away. I don't know how many times I've heard this is a once in a millennia event, weather event. I've heard that 20 times in the last 3 or 4 years, for different states. And it's something that we're going to have to accept. We can't fix it at this point. We're zero point 0.5 degrees Celsius away from what scientists have said is the limit for us before we enter an extinction level event.
Wow.
And I think we're at a point where we're not going to be able to fix that. We're not going to get off of oil. We're using oil right now to power our computers to talk here on this podcast. It's not something that we're going to be able to fix. It's something that we're going to have to adapt to and understand that we won't. Eventually, we will not be around as a species. The Earth will continue to be around. We won't. It is just facts. And I know it's a pretty bleak subject to talk about, but it's also something that we also need to kind of check ourselves in the mirror and realize we're all part of this problem, and we're all dealing with the results of this problem. So that is a subject I wanted to bring up. And if you guys want to kind of study up all the different weather events that are going on out there, I know a lot of people like to say, I don't want to hear about the news. It's depressing. It is depressing, but it is also directly affecting our lives. At some point, we are going to have to eat. And we touch on this subject. I touched on this subject the last podcast. At some point, you guys are going to have to be okay with eating science lab made food, whether it be beef, whether it be chicken, pork, whatever you want to think of. We're going to be at a point where that's the only food that we're going to be able to eat is lab made food, and we don't know what is going to come from that. We don't know the side effects of
Yeah.
genetically modified food. Um, so that's the subject that I wanted to touch on today. And as you can see, I've kind of had a pretty lengthy 10-minute discussion on it,
But
because
whew,
it is it is something that you can study up and you can see uh, facts. And I want to kind of I'm going to name drop a movie that kind of gave us this warning over 20 years ago.
oh,
Vice President Al Gore made it after he lost the presidential race, and it is called An Inconvenient Truth.
oh,
Go ahead and Google that. It's an old movie, 20 years old. It's a documentary, but you will see he tried warning us over 20 years ago about what was going to start happening to this earth, and it is finally starting to show its face. And yeah, there's no stopping it now. It's about adapting. So that's all
yes,
I got to say on that.
yes. I really do like your topic because when you actually got into it, I'm over here just like, man, I never really looked at it. I mean, I've heard about global warming, and I've noticed even in the last year, the summers are just way hotter than what they should be. And I've noticed it. Now, I don't know how long this has been going on because I know you said 2 years, but you were also speaking about flooding. We actually did have really bad flooding here back in 2019 to where we had one town that I had actually went past to go to a friend's house because I was actually at a friend's house when this flood was going on. I went from where I live now to, well, actually, I wasn't in this apartment, but the same town, to a friend of mine who's about maybe an hour or so away, a little longer. I don't really know how far Wagner is from here. But we went there and we have to cross through this one town called Muskogee. It's actually where I went to school at. And I kid you not, Joey, the one time that we went through it before it got real bad, that town was. I wish I could find the video. I do. That town was covered in water.
Wow.
Up to the buildings. Buildings were flooded. Things were damaged. By the time that I was about to go home from my trip with my friend at my friend's house, and we went through there again, the water had went down, but it stunk so bad because of all that
Yikes.
water damage. And I don't know if that could have been, I had to bring that up because I don't know if that could have been a part of, global warming, like you said, with things that are happening right now. But yeah, it is. It's very crazy. People need to sit back and think about what they're doing to the earth in the long run with all this stuff that's out. Yes, it's fascinating. It's neat. All this and that. But I mean, like, think about what it's going to do to our earth in the long run.
For
Think about
sure.
what it
I
could do to
mean,
our species. You're correct. With this heat being so bad, we could lose people of heat strokes, dehydration,
we
so many
have,
things. So
we
many
have,
things.
there's actually, I believe it's Death Valley in California.
Uh huh.
This week they're going to register 130 degree temperature.
What?
130 degrees.
What does that mean? They're
It's
supposed to
going to
get
be
that high?
130 degrees in Death Valley.
Oh, okay. You said register, so I'm like, huh? So you mean it's
They're going to
gonna be?
register. So, like, you're 20 degrees from being 150 degrees
Oh,
Fahrenheit.
God,
We're at
no.
130 degrees. Um,
Mm.
no, I mean, and there's an effect. I mean, here in Colorado, what we're going to be dealing with as we go forward, we've had a pretty wet summer here.
Mhm.
Honestly, every night we're looking at severe thunderstorm watches, tornado watches. We
Wow.
generally don't get tornadoes here, but what we do get, what we dealt with last year, and it sucked. We dealt with a whole day. It was during the winter, a whole day from I'd say 8 o'clock in the morning to about 9 at night, where we
Mhm.
had 70-degree wind or 70-mile-an-hour winds with 50-mile-an-hour. Um, let me rephrase. It was at least 50-mile-an-hour with 70-mile-an-hour gusts
Mhm.
most of the day. So we had no power most of the day.
Wow.
Um, so Colorado, that's what we're dealing with here. With this weather the way it is now, you're looking at heavier rain, just generally speaking for the nation.
Mhm.
Where you're at, Makayla, you're looking at Tornado Alley has expanded. It's gotten the range of Tornado Alley has gotten bigger because
You
of
know,
what we're dealing with now.
I do. I keep track of that because They have always said that in my town where I live, we're kind of in a, how would you describe it? Maybe would you call it a valley? What would you?
Down in a valley.
We're kind of like down in a valley. Like, we got hills. We're down in it. We're not
Yeah,
on the sides like this. If that makes any sense. You can see what I'm doing, Joey. For
I got you. Yeah, for sure.
anybody listening on Spotify or wherever else, if you're not watching the YouTube live, I've got my hands kind of representing as like hills of a valley, and in the middle is just down. And we're in a valley, and we've always never had the incidents of really having tornadoes hit very often. So with the way that the weather has seemed to be recently, I have kind of watched out for that because I figured that would be a cause and effect type thing. The cause is
For
that
sure.
we're screwing up our global warming, and the effect is that we're going to get worse weather. So when we're typically not a town that would typically get tornadoes, but we could. I mean, we've had some. We've had some because we've had buildings that I have known that have gotten destroyed because of them, but they've never been major. But you do have a point that because of all this and what you said, and even before this, I have kept a close watch on the weather because of that. And,
For sure.
because here I live in an apartment. I don't really have somewhere to go when a tornado hits. The only place I can go to for anybody watching is inside that closet with the door shut, and that's it. Because that's the only place in my apartment that is really enclosed enough deep in the apartment that you probably wouldn't get the most damage. If that makes sense.
And that's what's insane. That's what I've always thought was insane. I lived in Texas for a lot of my life. I'm 37 now, but I was there for the first 20 years. Even there where you're at, having basements isn't that common. That's
No.
what I've always thought, that was so crazy to be in Tornado Alley and not have any basements, not have any storm shelters like that.
No, because like if it gets bad here, because trust me, I have seen many people. I don't know if you've heard about it, and sorry guys, we're kind of finished with our topic. We're just talking here.
Yeah, we're just vibing.
But okay, I had somebody, I think back in like April or March. I don't remember when it was. I don't know if you've ever seen these videos come up on your newsfeed on TikTok, but there's a town here in Oklahoma called Shawnee, and they had a really bad tornado. But I remember watching so many people from TikTok that I've met through TikTok or before I even knew them that lived in my state and didn't even have a home that really was built properly for that kind of weather, and they would have to leave their home just to go to like a school or some place that they have you go to for shelter. Because
That's crazy.
a lot of these apartments and places, like, you're actually right, because the old house I used to live in when I lived here before I moved into my apartment, we didn't have a basement. We had an attic. We didn't have a basement. We all had to go into the hallway between the bedrooms, because I remember that we'd have tornado warnings. We'd have to get our animals. We'd have to get us. We'd have to get any like food, drinks that we wanted. We'd get a mattress even to keep it with us in case we needed it, and we would all be just in that hallway with our doors blocked to our bedrooms so that if any danger happens, we're protected. They're not. I've seen so many freaking houses in Oklahoma that don't have that right kind of weather equipment for it, and
For
it's
sure.
nuts.
It's
really
insane.
is.
It really is.
It's insane. Having to drive somewhere just to get protection? What? I mean, like, okay, yeah, we do have warnings and we do get alerts and stuff like that, but in that kind of weather, I'd rather just be at home.
For sure.
And know that I'm going to be safe with whatever I've learned to keep myself safe when it comes to bad weather, or know that my house has the right type of equipment set up or whatever to withstand that or keep you at least protected. When I lived in Arkansas before I moved up here, Joey, we didn't have a basement there either, but our old house seemed a lot more safer than the one we used to live in up here and in my apartment, because we would go into our hall bathroom. Our hall bathroom had no windows. It was the only place in the house that had no windows. We'd go in there and we'd all get in the tub or in the bathroom, and I just remember one time being real little and we had to go get in the tub, me and my sister, and we had to put a mattress over us just to make sure we'd be okay. But it was a lot
Yeah,
more
it's insane.
secure feeling than like what we have up here. I mean, my bathroom here don't even have a tub. It's just got a shower and there's a window. So it's like death trap
Yeah,
waiting to
you're
happen.
you're pretty screwed on that. Yeah,
And I mean,
that's
now, do
crazy.
you? I have to ask you just to kind of ask, like, do you have a basement where you live? Do you have a nice
Yeah.
setup?
Well, I remember. Yeah, we do. And this house that we're in, it's in a town that's over. It's about 100 years old. This house, and it's
Oh
got a
wow.
basement. And my in-laws live close. They have a basement. It's pretty standard actually here to have a basement, which is crazy because we don't have. This isn't Tornado Alley. Where I'm at, you're
Why do
basically
they? Okay,
right. We're
why
right by the
do they give
mountains.
you? I don't mean to cut you off, but I'm laughing here. Why do they gotta give you guys basements and places to be safe? But then we over here, where we get these tornadoes and stuff, we ain't got nothing.
Well, I hate being the devil's advocate in this situation, but they give us the basement, I think, because it's going to end up they're able to charge more money, obviously, because it's more space. So
Yes.
I think just to be the bleak guy, I think what happens in places like Florida and places like Texas, Oklahoma,
Mm-hmm.
Arkansas, the Tornado Alley, they want insurances to pay. They basically want your houses
They want them to get
to
damaged.
yeah, they want them to get damaged so that way y'all can rebuild again, and then it happens again, and they get more money again. Florida. There was an article that came out recently about Florida with all the floods that they've had and the hurricane potentials and all this.
Mm-hmm.
That there's insurances finally starting to pull out because there's billions of dollars that the insurances companies have to pay homeowners to
Mm-hmm.
live in a place where, in my opinion, because of our ice caps starting to melt. I personally think every side of our coast is going to end up being flooded. New York is already starting to flood with all the big buildings. There was an article that came out
Mm-hmm.
that all the big buildings are actually sinking the island of New York.
Wow.
It's actually starting to sink, and I think places like Florida and California, as we get more fresh water into our ocean, is going to raise our sea level. It's just common sense, and I think within the next 20 years, um, places like Florida are going to be underwater. Not all of Florida, but there's going to
A
be
big
bigger places
yes.
of Florida that are going to be underwater. And I
Yes.
think that's just part of the. I just think that's part of the natural cycle of what we're going to be dealing with as we deal with this heat that we're dealing with, and this change in weather and the sun. The sun.
You have a lot of points with that. I agree completely on that just because, you're right. I feel like, kind of like you, I feel like those insurance companies, they don't give us that kind of stuff because they want us to pay, they want us to rebuild, they want us to lose our things. But, because I feel like, what was it, last year, a couple years ago, I remember seeing somebody that I knew personally, like in real life, had lost their house to a tornado.
Yeah,
They thought it was going to be okay, and I just remember seeing these videos of them there, or pictures, whatever it was, and they had no ceiling.
it's
Some,
insane.
the bottom and some of the stuff was still okay, but a lot of it was just gone, and it was heartbreaking. And I believe, like that, it's sad to say that, companies like that, like insurance and stuff, would do that kind of thing, but it's all about the money, really. And
It really is.
yeah,
They see you as a number. How much can we get out of this person through their lifetime?
right,
That's
right.
ultimately what it comes down to. And it's sad. It's sad to have to acknowledge that, but we are just a number to them. And once our benefit isn't worth it anymore, that's when they stop covering you. That's like all the insurance companies in Florida, for instance. Once they started seeing, even though they're paying premium, we're having to pay for these $250,000 houses over and over every 2 or 3 years. Well, their $200 premium for a year is only $2,400, so they're paying $5,000 to get their $800,000 because the house has been flooded 3 times. We're having to
Mm-hmm.
pay for it. Well, it no longer becomes profitable for us as an insurance company, so we're no longer going to cover these people.
Right, and it's nuts. I mean, I'm telling you.
It's a trickle down effect with the weather being the way it is. There is a trickle down effect, and it's going to go all the way down to our pockets when it comes down to it.
Mm-hmm. I
So
agree. I agree.
So yeah, I think we had some great subjects today. Is there
Yes.
anything, any hot little quick topic that you want? Any movie, any book, anything that
Oh,
you want to discuss about?
I'm glad you said that. I feel like I watched something new recently, and I'm trying to remember what it. There is actually, weirdly enough, a show that I actually recently watched. Crazy enough, I guess I got it finished within the last week since we did our last podcast. I've been watching this show on Hulu called Scream Queens. If anybody's ever heard of it, Joey, I don't know if you have.
I
It's
haven't. Shout out Hulu though. Sorry.
Yes, Hulu is awesome. I love it.
Yeah, heck yeah.
It features Emma Roberts, I think it is. Yeah, Emma Roberts. She played in like a lot of American Horror Story kind of stuff. She's that like, I don't think she is in real life. I would hope not, but she's like a snobby, stuck up biatch, in my opinion. With a
Gotcha.
lot of her characters that she plays is what I portray her as. Now, I don't think she'd really be like that in real life. Hopefully not. But the show basically it's only got 2 seasons and it's old. I didn't even know it was like made back in 2015, 2016 or whatever. Actually, I don't even know. I'm thinking of, you know what? Give me a second. Hold on. I have to look this up. When did Scream Queens come out? When did the show Scream Queens come out? Okay, sorry guys. But I mean, basically, it's like this. Yep. Okay. It was started in 2015. I was right, so the years were correct in the show. It ran from 2015 to 2016, 2 seasons, and it basically talks about these kids that are in college, and this girl joins like a sorority group, and it just starts out with it just starts being a bunch of murders and killing a lot of these people in that sorority group over things that happened years and years ago in that same sorority. And the second season is a little different, but they still come back trying to kill the people that were not killed off in the first season. And it's a lot. It's like there's a lot of blood. There's a lot of gore. It's kind of I think it's rated M for mature because there's a lot of sexual stuff in there as well. But in my opinion, I thought it was I didn't think I would like that type of show, but I think because of the murder of it, like, the murders and killing and the horror side of it, I think is what really got me into it. And
Heck yeah.
I don't know if you know
Scream
her,
Queens.
but Ariana Grande actually played in a couple episodes in that show too. She was
Nice.
amazing.
Heck
She played
yeah.
one of the
I know Emma Roberts too, so
Oh, you do? Okay. Okay, yeah.
yeah.
She played one of the sorority sisters with Emma. Emma played like the main B word. She played the
Oh yeah.
main girl, and like all these girls had to be called like Chanel. Like Emma played like Chanel Overland was her name in the show. Ariana and all of them played like Chanel number 1 or Chanel number 2, Chanel number 3, Chanel number 5, whatever, because she's just so stuck up that she don't want to remember people's names. But it is a good show. I recommend it. Um, I, I found it because of TikTok. That's what I was trying to say. I found it because of
Nice.
TikTok. There were so many people that I guess were doing the sounds from the show, and then I did actually see a couple clips of the show on TikTok, and I was like, you know what? I'm getting Hulu again. I'm watching this.
Nice. Scream Queens. Once again,
Scream
Scream
Queens,
Queens on
yes,
Hulu.
yes, on Hulu. Go check it
Awesome.
out because I think it's amazing.
Heck yeah.
Now, what about you,
As far
Joey?
as me, I read Ready Player One a couple years ago. I reread it recently and on Audible, and finally got Ready Player Two. It's obviously the
Oh,
sequel to
there's a
Ready Player
second
One,
one?
and
Wow.
it was a great book. I finished it in a couple of days while I was at work. I listened to it.
Mm-hmm.
I had kind of got scared away from it because people were saying that it was a little bit too political, and it ended up not being political. I think what people were mad about is honestly they came up with the situation in the book, and it's literally 10 seconds. It's not ruining anything to do with the book.
Mm-hmm.
They brought up LGBTQIA plus, and then they brought up a non-binary sexual option when it came to making a character in the Oasis. Which, if you read Ready Player One, you know what the Oasis is. And if you don't, I highly recommend you read this book if you're into 80s and 90s trivia, and gaming. It's a really big into that
I was
stuff.
gonna
If you're a gamer,
say, isn't Ready Player One like about those new like futuristic VR games and stuff like that?
Ready Player One is basically kind of. I mean, I think it's set up in the 2040s, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
But you put on a VR headset and you're pretty much, it's got everything that you want. If you're an Overwatch player, it's got characters like that. If you're a WoW player, it has every character gaming wise and even movie wise that you could think of. If you
Wow.
want to play that character, if you want to be Arnold Schwarzenegger in the Oasis, you can be. Um, it's
Wow.
it's a great book. I think it's a great series
Well,
actually.
because I only said that because I only knew about the movie. I've actually seen Ready Player One.
Yeah, the movie obviously is not going to have as much
The
of the
book, yeah.
details as the books. I highly recommend reading the books. But that was my subject today. Was just
Mm-hmm.
Ready Player Two. If you've already read Ready Player One and you're kind of scared with some of the reviews from Audible on Ready Player Two, or if you're somebody that likes to have the physical book in hand, I
Mm-hmm.
highly recommend that. I just finished it. It was a great book. It goes kind of crazy there at the end of the book. I'm not going to ruin it, but it is a perceivable. It is perceivable because it's something that we're dealing with in real life, and I'm not going to touch on this subject today. It'll be the next time we have a podcast.
Right.
But Ready Player Two, guys, and if you haven't read or listened to Ready Player One, I highly recommend it.
I think I'm gonna go and honestly read those books because I've only seen the first movie. I've never read the books, so of course, obviously, as Joey said, but as we all know, books have a lot more details about things than a movie will portray.
For sure.
But yes,
Yep.
yes, go check out Scream Queens. Go check out Ready Player One and Two. Leave your thoughts down in the comments below on YouTube, and we will be getting a thing soon here where we can actually communicate with you guys through the podcast on Spotify. I've been seeing some things on the platform I use to upload these podcasts, and we will be able to ask you guys questions that you guys can answer and relate to in like a comment section of the podcast. I don't know how to explain it. I got the hiccups. Um, but we are going to get real like one-on-one with you guys. We're gonna try to include you guys as well. And if you have any new thoughts or conversations you'd like to hear us talk about, let us know. We'll try to cover them. But
For
I think
sure, yeah. I'm gonna go ahead and just throw it out here too. I'm gonna be posting this on my YouTube, which is JO3Y_C. And if you can't find it that way, it's at JO3Y_C183. And like Makayla said, if you guys have anything that you guys would want us to touch up in the podcast or any questions, any subjects, go ahead and hit me up on my YouTube and just throw a comment and a like on there. And if you want to subscribe to me, that'd be great as well. So we can kind of start building our channels up. So that is my YouTube channel. And then Makayla will give you hers really quick as well.
mine is just Allison Fetner, Allison. Last name F as in Frank, Etner. That is my main YouTube channel right now. But you could also, if you have TikTok, for anybody who's listening on Spotify or YouTube, because of course you came across this from YouTube. But if you want another way to get in touch with us, always check out Joey JO3Y_C86 on TikTok and Broken Angel 1996, I believe. Or you can just type in Broken Angel and there's a picture of me. It's got like a purple background with a Tiffany filter from TikTok on the profile, and you can always find one of our videos, comment on it, say, hey, I heard your podcast. Can you talk about this, or what is your take on this? And we'll totally get out to you guys. We will.
For sure.
But yes, thank you so much, everybody, for listening, tuning in wherever you are. This was a great show. I hope you enjoyed, and we'll see you guys next time.
See you later, guys.